You're listening to Ciminelli Chats, where we aim to share the latest Ciminelli company news, real estate industry insights, and announcements. Recently, we sat down with Ciminelli Real Estate Corporation's CEO, Paul Ciminelli, to discuss the company's recent investment activity in Boston, Massachusetts. We wanted to know, why has this bustling northeastern city proven to be a hotbed for Ciminelli's investment team? And what does the future hold for us in the greater Boston area? Enjoy episode 1 of Ciminelli Chats.
The thing I like about Boston, it's a 1 hour flight away. And I do know my way around the city. I've been going to Boston for a long time. And we have a very good market leader there who's works for the company, is a person I've known for over 15 years. And Boston, the other thing I like about Boston, it's a pretty tight-knit real estate community. As big as it is and as dynamic as it is, I was very surprised at just how tight-knit it is. And everyone knows that. A lot of people, it's very relationship-based, where other markets, you don't see that. It's very transaction-based, and this is more, a lot of this is driven by relationships. So we've been developing some really strong relationships. That's difficult to duplicate in other areas. I mean, we obviously have that in Florida, but other cities would have to be have to have similar ingredients for us to do that. And again, I like the fact that you can get a direct flight there, so that makes it easier for us, and for us to continue to grow and invest there. The 495 is a little farther out, and because of that, the cost of real estate is a little more manageable, and it's drawing a lot of the tenants in companies that would have been in the 128 to look at 495. Because it's a lower cost alternative, and there's a good inventory. We've seen a pretty good inventory of buildings there that have good bones to be repositioned into lab buildings or life science or R&D. So, and the other good thing too is the fact that there is not a lot of new buildings under construction. So it's somewhat supply constrained, which is, I think, good for us if you're on the inside. The greater Boston metropolitan area a little bit more unique than most other metropolitan areas in the Northeast and to some extent the Midwest. So I think a number of those factors always intrigued us, and then coupled with the right team and the right joint venture partner, all those ingredients came together and for us to invest.
In the second half of our conversation, we took a deeper dive into the company's most recent investment acquisition, 181 and 187 Ballardvale. This acquisition brought Ciminelli's Massachusetts portfolio to approximately 500,000 square feet.
Ballardvale, it's a 2-building complex. It totals about 230,000 feet. We looked at it about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and we just couldn't get there numbers-wise, and there's a couple other factors why we kind of passed on it at that time. But we always kept an eye on it because we liked that I-93 corridor, which is north of the city, and there's a lot of corporate campuses around that in those submarkets. It's a very dynamic submarket, so we just kind of kept an eye on that asset. And then when the opportunity came again, was presented to us the second time around, we were able to strike a deal, and we just pulled the trigger on our largest investment to date. I think it was about $35 million. Perhaps we'll continue to grow in a very strategic and focused way like we've been doing. We have a very good joint venture partner who's very bullish on Boston also, in Gordon Brothers. We have a very good team there. We've started to really develop some momentum, so we have a credibility, I should say some positive credibility when it comes to acquiring buildings, our ability to close, our ability to bring our management platform and expertise there to help reposition these buildings. And the brokerage community and the investment community is really has seen that, and because of that, they're bringing us more opportunity. So it's really starting to show up, and which is kind of nice. And a couple of the people had worked for big companies in Boston that had Buffalo roots, so they kind of reached out to me and said, "Welcome to to Boston, and what can we do to help?"
Thank you to Paul for inviting us into his office for our inaugural podcast, and thank you for listening to our first Ciminelli Chats episode. Stay tuned for more Ciminelli company news, real estate industry insights, and announcements. This podcast is a production of Ciminelli Real Estate Corporation Marketing.